Hello, this is Derek Eaton with Achieve Virtual, and this is a recording, kind of a synopsis of what we covered in our first webinar or community webinar last night. It took place on September 17th. We wanted to kind of host a back to school event. So I'm going to kind of cover briefly, as I forgot to record the actual event. We did have about 5 teachers take part and 2 students or student families take part. And I just kind of wanted to get a quick recording so teachers know what we covered and for posting in our September newsletter so other families who might have missed out can get a quick synopsis of what we covered in this event. Last night, we kind of started with the introduction page. Don't forget about us on Twitter and Facebook if you haven't already kind of connected to us there. Um, we talked about briefly how within these events that we're going to host, you can participate. There's a chat feature, and I'll kind of be watching any questions that come through or statements, and we'll kind of feed off those throughout the presentation. So we had some decent discussions and questions last night that led us from each slide. So jumping into it, our agenda for the 18th, or 17th I should say, was an introduction and brief history of Achieve Virtual, kind of where we came from and how we started. The second thing we talked about was tips for parenting or supporting an online student. My expectations as a principal here for both students and teachers, and then we took questions. So to start, kind of who we are right now. I took some pictures of our graduation last year. That is the small theater here at Ben Davis High School. And just like a traditional high school setting, we do have a traditional graduation ceremony where students do walk across the stage, shake the superintendent's hand, shake school board members' hands, do speeches. We have a speech from the principal, the superintendent, and all those things you would expect at a typical graduation ceremony. So I wanted everyone who participated to kind of see that the end result of high school is, we still do a graduation ceremony and students still do graduate. Currently, for this semester, we are bigger than we've ever been. We've got about 200 students enrolled, and I'm kind of outlining the state of Indiana here, but each one of those purple markers represents a student household here at Achieve Virtual. So as you can see, we take up a lot of the state. We're kind of all over, certainly in Indianapolis heavy, just south in the Bloomington, Columbus area, a little bit in Lafayette, and then kind of scattered up into the Gary area. We're really heavy pockets, and then there's just individuals scattered here throughout. So that's pretty impressive and pretty amazing. It shows where we've come from 3 years ago when we first opened our doors. Again, we are starting year 4. And kind of where we came from, don't forget we are a part of a metropolitan school district here, Wayne Township Schools. We're on the west side of Indianapolis, and from our Wayne Township website, you can see our URL up here at the top. We've got a lot of different schools, 11 elementaries, 2 middle schools, a preschool, 9th grade center, Ben Davis High School, and Ben Davis University High School, and Achieve Virtual makes up the 3rd high school. We also have an Area 31 Career Center here that services not only Ben Davis and Wayne Township students, but also students kind of just west of us and in our local area here. Again, it is a part of a school district, and as that, we do have to follow a lot of the school rules. We have a superintendent. Dr. Butts is our superintendent here in MSD of Wayne Township. You'll see things on our website like transportation, lunch, and those kinds of things, and that's more for our traditional schools. But certainly, if you want to be informed about events taking place here in our school district, check out our website. Where we kind of grew from, or Achieve Virtual specifically came from, was the Ben Davis Extended Day program, or the evening school program. And it does have its own website link off of the high schools. And I would encourage you to check that out if you want a kind of a brief history. But we are located inside the high school. That's why our office is also located inside the high school. I am the administrator in charge of it as well. And you can kind of see some small pictures up here of the computer lab. It's a lab of 6 computers. It has 4 core content area teachers that service the students in there. Any students taking electives or courses that those teachers are not licensed in, they are placed into Achieve Virtual classes where they can get serviced by the licensed teacher. Again, we started this program. We used things like Play-Doh and Angel to develop content courses. And then over time, we decided, why don't we try to create our own virtual high school, just like a lot of the charter schools are doing out there. And so we did. We got rid of Play-Doh. Play-Doh was really only used in our math content, so we got rid of it and had teachers actually write content for those courses and replaced them, and have since evolved even from Angel for this school year into My Big Campus, where all of our courses are teacher created. Most here in the MSD of Wayne Township schools, so Ben Davis High School or Chapel Hill Middle School or Lyndhurst Middle School, teachers are creating the content that our students are progressing through. Obviously, different teachers are teaching that content, just because we have so many students, but primarily teachers in our district created their content. We have a few out-of-district teachers who created some of our content as well, but most is done right here in the MSD of Wayne Township. Regardless, the important thing is it is teacher-created content. Nothing is purchased like a Play-Doh or a NovaNet. So if you're familiar with those or came from schools that had those, we don't incorporate those. So anyways, back in 2011, that summer, we were approved by the Indiana Department of Education and Dr. Tony Bennett, state superintendent at the time, to open our doors as a full-time school so we could see kind of what we could do. And to this date, we are still the only public high school, non-charter, that is all virtual. We are a complete virtual high school that isn't a charter, and we're operated by a local public school district here in Indiana. All the other ones that you see are either programs like the Indiana Online Academy, or they are, because it's not a school, you can't graduate from it, or they are charter schools that are kind of operated and owned ultimately by businesses, most of which who are not operating here in Indiana, just the schools is. So anyways, we're very proud of what we are, where we've come from, and we're very proud of the fact that we're a public school here in Indiana. We think that helps build a lot of our allies amongst other schools because they trust us, because we are just like them and operating and following the same rules that they do. So, back to our presentation. That's kind of a little bit of who we are and where we came from. Um, Next, we talked about being a parent of an online student or being a support network for an online student. One, it's easy to procrastinate. You don't see the teacher face to face every day, so it's good to stay on the students to make sure they're not getting behind in their coursework. Meaning they probably should be working 5 days every week. That's one of our expectations. We want to see students logging in 5 days every week doing their work, and they're going to certainly be on pace to finish on time. Pacing is key. Students should map out a plan with their teachers to kind of determine how many assignments do I need to do each day or each week so I can still get done by that first semester deadline, which this year is December 19th. We close our first semester on December 19th. We see the most potential in students, or those who do the best with the most parent interaction. So be inquisitive. Parents or guardians that are kind of monitoring your students' progress or helping push them. Be involved. Those are the ones that we see that stay on pace and tend to get the most out of an online school experience. Use the teachers. They're there for a reason. We're paying them for a reason. If you need help and need support, contact them. If you're not getting what you need out of the teacher for various reasons, obviously the teacher's not there sitting with you, but they should be able to tutor you and help support you get basic concepts so you can continue on and progress through your lessons. Feel free to contact our office if you're unable to get in touch with your teachers. Lastly, remember the goal is about learning and achieving. So if you procrastinate, you put everything off, and then you just blow through it the last week of school before December 19th, and you earn a D just to get the credit, you probably didn't learn a whole lot, which isn't going to help you moving forward. It's certainly not going to help you in that next class where those skills are building upon them. So really try to learn. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. I strongly believe that, especially if you're looking for the higher grade. So if your goal is college or moving on into the university level, make sure you're pushing yourself to do the best you can. My expectations for teachers to students and of students, for starters, again, logging on 5 days a week. The wonderful thing about a virtual program is it doesn't matter what 5 days you log in, but log in 5 days a week and work in all of your classes. Don't think you're going to work in one. A lot of students try that. They work in one class and it takes them a month. Well, they've got 6 classes and the semester's only 4 months long. So guess what? They don't get done. They get discouraged, and then halfway through the semester they end up stopping completely anyway. It's a bad plan. We operate, as I said earlier, like a school. So plan on doing it like a school, meaning logging into all of your classes and spending a couple of hours each day for at least 5 days a week in those courses, and you'll be able to get done in plenty of time. The other aspect to that is, it is flexible learning environment because it's online, but that means you can work any 5 days. That can include Saturday and Sunday, and you take Monday, Tuesday off as an example. Also, make sure you work with your teachers on pacing. One of my expectations of teachers is to help you pace yourselves through the content. And then I expect them to get back with you, either communication or grading, within 24 to 48 hours. 24 is preferred, 48 is the minimum expectation. If you're not hearing back from your teachers, then that's a problem that our office will need to address with that teacher so we can continue to help our students be successful as they can be. Communication is key in a virtual school. We don't see you face to face. I know I've said this already, but if you're not communicating, email, texting, phone calls, Skyping, whatever it might be, where you're working with that teacher, discussion boards, those kinds of things. If you're not responding or the teacher's not responding, there's a breakdown and learning's probably not occurring and you're not progressing as you should be. So communication's key on both parties. If you're having difficulties getting in touch with that teacher or not getting a response timely, please let our office know. They often document their communication attempts, so I can look into that. But if I see, a point where, I don't see a response or emails coming from this teacher, then that's something we have to address here on our end. But we want you to be successful. We want our teachers to be successful, and that takes communication, whether that be grading feedback or just calling or emailing, whatever it might be. So be looking for that. Make sure you're communicating back with your teachers. Those who go kind of AWOL on us, or absent without leave, where we don't get responses back and they're not working, we tend to send missing letters and submit those students to the state for truancy, and we withdraw them as missing. So be aware of that and make sure you're staying on task and doing what you need to do. If you take a vacation, keep us informed, please. Again, we do operate as a school. Lastly, we talked about questions, and there weren't too many, as our two primary parents, or one student and one parent that was with us, but felt like we covered quite a bit and got enough out of it that they didn't have any upfront questions. But certainly if you have questions, don't hesitate to email us, your teachers, Miss Goodnight the counselor, or give our office a call, and we'll do our best to help you solve those questions as best we can. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for at least attempting to kind of monitor what we covered in our first back to school event. We'll probably host the next one in November. Watch for that date in the October newsletter. And we'll probably address some things, mid-semester news, preparing for final exams, the end-of-course assessments, those kinds of things as we move forward. And then maybe talk about experiences that you're having in your online environment, either how we can get better or what's working for you that we can build upon in other classes. Thank you again. This is Mr. Derek Eaton, principal here at Achieve Virtual, and we look forward to working with you this semester.